Hello and welcome to Final Show Films. I'm the executive producer here, John Bates, and I've got a few pre-show notes for you. First of all, I'd like to thank our $25 tier supporters, Antitonic, Waterflame, Samantha Bates, and Maureen Montee, without whom we wouldn't be able to do much, especially not all the content that we put forward now. I also want to thank all the people that have joined on with us since the, I would say, successful experiment that was Midsummer Night's Dream. If you're interested in that, go check out our YouTube channel, where youtube.com/Sensaku, where we performed the world's first, as far as we're aware, live stream production of a community theater performance of A Midsummer Night's Dream. That sounds like a lot of qualifiers. It's more just because that's the way I talk. Please go enjoy them, give us feedback, let us know if you'd like to see more of that in the future. If you'd like to support us financially, you can do so on our Patreon page at patreon.com/fsfilms. You can also follow us on Twitter at Final Show Films, or follow me personally at John A. Bates for all future updates and live notifications for our live stream. In the meantime, sit back, relax, enjoy.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to BreakVerse. I'm Aaron, your GM, and we're only 20 minutes late this time.
Yay!
Oh, progress, sort of,
But
depending on your definition.
no, that's definitely progress because we are not a week late.
No.
That is true, and an
We're getting
excellent
better.
segue to my acknowledgement before we introduce our players. Yes, we were not on last week. We totally played a game last week. It's a lost episode. Blame insert video card manufacturer
Blame
here.
Radeon.
There you
Blame
go. Cool. Blame
fucking
Radeon.
Well, Radeon and Windows and
the hamsters that live in the
fuck
internet.
you, Microsoft, so hard.
Blame the
Unless you wanna
hamsters that live in
sponsor
the
us.
You were so angry.
Avoid hamsters.
I assume. But let's introduce our characters and players and Kat.
I am Kat. I am playing Scott, the Wood Elf Barbarian Cleric.
Tyler.
Hello, everybody. I'm Tyler. I'm playing Therid, the half-orc fighter.
And Steph.
Hi, I'm playing Wolfina Nightdale, the Wood Elf Cleric.
And Andrew.
Hello, I'm Andrew. I'm playing Farron Lunaire, the Asimov Swashbuckler Rogue.
And Jeremy.
Hi, I'm Jeremy, and I am looking for the Roll20 link right now because it's way the fuck down because I am in far too many games, and I am playing.
You have to scroll way down.
I am playing Ipsis, the Yanti Pureblood Ranger.
I recommend using a bookmarks folder to link to each of the individual games' homepage. You can't link to the editor because it's the same editor for everything, but to the launch pages for each individual game. So you don't have all the one-shots up top. Yep. So last week on BreakVerse, but not on the BreakVerse that you heard, the party had some more time to get to know each other, traveling through the Fey while towards the gate of sidestepping, where the Father of Wolves had promised a previous iteration of the party, whose last remaining member is Scott, that he could totally send them home, but given they came through a different material plane, needed additional power to do it. He sent them to find Fey boons, which they managed to acquire, I think, ultimately 3 of.
I think so, yeah.
Sounds right.
And they had some struggles with the other last remaining previous member who came through at the same time as them, and that isn't an NPC most of the time, Alistar. When they were in the port city of Winterwing, Alistar encountered a booth staffed by a very pretty gentleman and a whole bunch of statues and paintings of himself. He thought that this was excellent and awesome and wanted to go with him. Someone used a charm spell or charm ability and may have dragged Alistar along, tying him up in the cart, upon realizing that Alistar had at some point been switched out for some sort of alternate version of himself who his soul was remotely piloting. and we pick up with third watch, where I believe Farron and Zhao Wen, the monk whom you have been traveling with, are taking watch. Is that correct?
That sounds right to me.
All right. So, as the watch switches over, Wolfie, now Therod, are you going to say anything to the people getting up, or just...
I'm just gonna head to my little spot and go right to sleep.
Okay.
I will not be able to suppress glancing over at the cart first, and then I'm going to sleep.
All right. I mean, there are people in there, so Farron, you can roll me an insight check, but you'd need to roll pretty well to get it just off of that.
Oh, my insight's terrible. Here we go. 7.
Ooh.
Probably not good enough.
Okay, yeah, with a 7, you probably notice Wolfina glance over, but that's reasonable. You have people tied up in there.
Yeah, we have prisoners.
We have prisoners.
That may become relevant later, though.
Later.
It may be, but I'm going to
Yeah.
rule that with a 7, nothing is gleamed of it at this moment.
Right.
That makes sense.
Farron, I'm going to roll this into your standard watch roll. So make me a perception check, just to keep an eye out.
All right. Rolling perception. 27.
Nice.
Very nice.
All right. With a 27, you're keeping a fairly sharp eye out, and you decide to sort of do a circle around just to establish things. Seems fair. And as you glance down to sort of get a grip of where the prisoners are, just, hey, that's an empty cart. That cart wasn't empty when you went to sleep.
There were 2 prisoners in that car before, weren't there?
Mm-hmm. Zhao Wen does not seem to have caught this as quickly as you have. But what do you want to do?
Well, first off, I'll absolutely alert Zhao Wen to this.
She sort of looks. Okay. So, what are we doing now?
Well, we can either venture out into the woods to see if there's something we could follow, but that is not in my area of expertise.
It's easier to track a trail when it's fresh, but we shouldn't leave the camp unguarded to go after people
Absolutely
who
not.
haven't the means to attack us necessarily.
Yes, we can't leave the others while they're sleeping.
Do we wake them up?
Honestly, yes, that would make sense. It makes sense to me.
Zhao Wen just sort of looks around and claps loudly. All of you hear sort of bang sound. It is just the very sharp clap of someone. If you've ever been in a martial arts class, the people who are really experienced when they try and get your attention and just are like clap, and it resounds very accurately.
Mm-hmm.
And you're all awake.
Do we have the benefits of the long rest?
No, none of you have gotten them yet. If everyone got the benefits of a short rest without a third watch, there wouldn't be a third watch.
Yeah, that's legit.
I only ask because I'm,
yeah. Therod and
I'm still down on spells
to
then.
sleep for maybe 5 minutes at most.
Ibsis is immediately up to her feet, crossbow out, bolt being slapped into place. What?
The prisoners have escaped.
Well, that's not ideal. I'm going over to the cart.
Okay.
Investigate.
I believe you have bonuses to investigation around Fae, correct?
Favorite enemy? Yep, Fae is one of my favorite enemy. I have
All right.
advantage on survival checks to recall, to track, as well as intelligence checks to recall information.
Okay, so this is going to be an investigation first, just to determine what
Mhm.
happened here, which you won't miss.
Cool.
Well, actually, sir, investigation's and intelligence, so you do get your bonus.
Okay. So advantage. Ignore that. Well, no, that doesn't. I don't think that applies. We are
I
technically
don't think
in
they
a
ever
forest.
both apply at the
Wait.
same time. Oh,
When you make an intelligence or wisdom check related to your favorite terrain, I believe we are in a forest right now.
yeah, okay.
It depends on whether you consider this related to it being in a forest.
I'm gonna say this particular role isn't. There
Okay.
are roles that will likely be if you choose to track these
Fair
things
enough.
or these people, either or. So Ipsis, on walking over, yeah, cart's empty. That tells its own story. You do still see the ropes that you use to tie these people up in the cart.
Mm-hmm.
None of these other stuff you may have left in the cart, like supplies, has been moved. You do notice this soft residue of what someone less experienced might have identified as mildew. To you, it's sort of the specific timing and also the exact nature of this as you sort of feel it between your fingers. It strikes you as different. This is essentially a form of fairy dust, which in this instance is just what tends to be left behind as a bit of a trail for certain types of small fae sprites and spirits as they pass through. You can guess that at least to that extent, your allies had help.
Okay.
Though you would probably also notice, just from what's left of the rope, you can make an educated guess of the same thing Wilfina learned before. There are these essentially dandelion-like spirits that wisp through, who they're not necessarily sentient, but they tend to have a motive or thing that they do operationally. Could have easily loosened these bonds. That sort of colony is probably what you're looking at the residue of. You do notice that one of the sets of ropes is completely untied, as opposed to just loosened to the point where it seems like they fell off.
Okay.
Which would indicate some other kind of intervention.
So Ibs's eyes narrow a little bit.
Are any of the ropes actually cut?
No.
No.
Okay.
Some of them were undone. The other ones are still technically tied, but very loose now. Much wider than they were.
One of two things. Either one of them managed to get free and then untie the other, or someone came over and somebody helped them escape. Regardless.
Everybody else here? Are we just missing those two?
We're
Looks like.
missing Alistar and Laureate.
Okay, so everybody else is here though.
Or, well, you were missing Alistar anyway. You're missing the gray creature that was impersonating
Yes.
Alistar.
Yes.
Body double.
We're missing Folastar.
Nice.
I can see you judging me right now.
I'm not stopping you because it is accurate and you
I don't
don't.
understand that reference.
Faux,
Me
fake.
neither, but
F-A-U-X. Faux, fake.
Ah,
Ah,
It's
okay.
just a prefix. Moving on.
Anyway,
Regardless, I'll see if I can find them. And I'm going to try and track this fey creature through my favorite terrain.
Okay. That's going to be a survival roll.
Yep.
With all of your
With
bonuses.
advantage and my bonus.
So just to clarify, are you trying to track Folastar and Laureate, or are you trying to track the creatures that freed them?
Folastar and Laureate.
Okay, you would not get the
Okay, they are not
bonus
fey.
for them
Okay.
being fey because neither of them are technically fey.
Fair enough. Well, that's not great. That's a 15.
So here's the problem. You managed to track them about 20 feet from the campsite, at which point you're sure the footprints diverge in two different directions. These people separated almost immediately. And you're at the edge of water. And there obviously aren't footprints in the water itself.
God damn it.
So it's very possible, because I remembered you did cross the water already.
Yeah, we did.
That they headed back in the direction you went, or any of the other ways you could go from the shoreline. With 15, you probably also noticed that the boat you came here in is no longer here, which isn't unusual and could have happened for a number of reasons, or it could have been them one
Taking
of
the
them.
boat, yeah.
Yeah.
Does anybody have any means of magically locating them?
Nope.
God will look at her
Maybe.
sword.
Hold on.
Not right now.
Damn it. That doesn't actually, that's not going to be a huge.
Yeah, it's not quite done yet.
Thoughts. I am willing to take suggestions at this point.
Well, we're in the Feywild, so there's no telling what could have actually happened. But if I'm being honest, I was going to give them a choice in the morning anyway.
If they're gone and we can't exactly track them, then honestly, I don't think there's much effort and point in pursuing the matter. Let's get out of here.
I agree.
I mean, it's clear what happened. There were some fairy creatures that apparently helped them escape. And they escaped. It's just where they came from here. The point is, this doesn't make it feasible, but the point is, for whatever reason, that the fates have, in their capricious, cruel, sadistic nature, decided this bard is crucial to the fixing of our world. And that fake version of the bard was our only way to find him. But if we can't, but I am also not given to.
I'm sure that if it is fated that he is to help us, we will find him again. Let's get home.
I dislike the idea of relying on fate.
Yeah, well, I don't like it much either, but
fate's all we have at this point.
Crucial to helping and fated to help are two separate things. But
We-
as much as I dislike it, you're probably accurate at this point.
Let's
see if
finish
we
our
can get
rest.
our rest finished and then move on.
And then get home.
I go back to bed.
Everyone else?
I was actually going to climb
argument here.
into the bed of the cart to finish her rest.
Careful, there is vestige of Fey influence there.
Ew.
Right?
Yeesh.
I mean, it's not actually dangerous.
I know.
It's not.
We're just being us. Don't worry about it.
It's just unsanitary sounding.
Like the Fey off you.
Alistair will go back. Farron will go back to bed. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
No other option. Ipsis will dissatisfactorily go back to sleep.
As watch
That is just icing on the cake.
continues, we're going to drift away from Farron and Zawin for a moment to what's happening for Ska
Oh, goody.
while you're not awake. Ska, you find yourself standing on a bog. There's the water and sort of dredge. You're not falling into it at all. You find that as you walk across it, it feels like glass beneath your feet. Around there's sort of a circle of sickly trees dripping with algae and pus. And there's a dark green to the water below you. Above, in the sky, it's mostly blue, but you can see off in the distance at one angle, one of those jagged red scars you saw in the sky when when you met Theron and Farron. For some reason I said when you met Ipsis. That's wrong. Yeah.
Okay. Does it feel like a dream?
As you sort of push out trying to determine if this is a dream, maybe. You don't have any level of control of the environment. You can't will yourself new limbs or anything. But it definitely doesn't feel like terrestrial experience as you tend to experience it.
Okay.
While you're sort of trying to figure this out, you find yourself looking down at the glassy floor with sickly sort of bog muss inside of it. And there's a shockingly clear reflection of your face with that sort of light silver tattooing that's on your forehead and then crawling back along your neck. Your reflection is smiling at you. Too big, too bright.
I'm going to reach out and try and touch it.
It reaches back with it's approximately the same angle as you, but just feels slightly more buoyant, more jovial. As you sort of reach down to the floor to touch it, a hand interlocks with yours, coming out of the of bog where you touch it, with sort of that sickly green coloration, and starting to physically manifest. A mirror to yourself.
Goddamn mirror selves.
Not like that. Just
I'll pull it out of the water.
okay. As you sort of reach and pull this sickly green illusion out of the water, the only part of the features that remain is that bright smile and the green of being made of whatever bog is beneath you. The form grows shorter, stouter, sturdier, and you're looking at Alistar's form. But again, that coloration has not changed. That sort of, and you're familiar with this presence by now. Or Anders. Fuck. Anders.
I was very confused for a moment.
Yeah, I was like, wait, what?
Oh God,
Yeah.
it's getting worse. More people are. You're gonna become a god to every dead member of the party. Not that Alistair's
Oh
dead.
my god!
Or a cleric of every
Yeah,
dead
sorry. Anders.
Okay.
My notes are apparently very mistyped today.
That's all right. Okay, Anders, that makes much more sense.
Yeah.
Actually, that's
So-
kind of a fun concept. Sorry.
She'll just kind of stare for a minute.
I can only give you so many reminders. I am a generous patron, right? And I took you when no one else would. But I can't just leave things this way. You understand that?
I think I understand, but I feel like I'm broken.
Good. That is not the problem. I can fix you if you need or want. Or you can remain broken or reforge yourself. None of that is really what I'm curious about. Do you remember why I gave you that? And despite the obvious height difference, somehow a hand of muck reaches up and taps the tattooing on your forehead.
Not really.
Do you remember what you're supposed to do?
Not really. At this point, she'll, like, a tear starts down her face.
This sort of creature wipes it away. That's all right. It's all right to forget things, to not be sure. But in this case, I'll remind you once again. worship. You who have made a contract with a god for power, not the traditional where worship comes first, but it is still an essential element. They have given you great gifts and can offer you more. In exchange, I expect the fealty of a follower. I expect you to spread my message and to remember what I am and what my doctrine suggests and imposes. I have given you very many gifts, quite generously. Without waiting for you to prove yourself, I put my trust in you. If that trust is truly betrayed, I can never take back my gifts, but they will sour. Do you remember what I have asked of you time and time again?
And like at this point, this figure can see that she's trying very hard to think and to remember.
Mm-hmm. If you would like to try and remember, you can make me an intelligence save.
Let's see if I actually do it well this time. As opposed to last time when things went bad. God damn it.
Oh,
After
That's
3.
a 4.
oh,
Well
so with the
done, Ska.
go Scar. You're the best.
I
hate digital dice.
3 is not 1.
You're not able to necessarily put together any pattern. You obviously remember the basic flow of events. You remember roughly how you first made contact with this entity. You remember further speaking in the Underdark when you were escaping the mind flayers, stuff like that. But exactly what's being asked of you, for whatever reason, you're not sure. With what are you gonna do?
Like I said, they'll see she's trying so hard to remember, and she'll just shake her head and go, everything is... I can't remember. I want to, but I can't. And I don't know why I can't. And she'll start crying.
Yeah. And that sort of flickering version of Anders' face seems to consider for a moment. I will show you again. But this is your second warning. I expect something in return for what I have given you. And so far, I've received nothing. And you feel that muck that before was like glass beneath your feet starting to suck you in, starting to consume you slowly. You're falling into it, almost like quicksand or, well, a normal bog, I suppose. He's still standing there, just smiling at you. I have so much faith in your potential. and so much faith in you. You can do well, Scott. And you find your head starting to come under this muck. And once you're completely in it, you can hear voices, whispering, screaming, not necessarily identifiable, but just endless voices. And then there is a string of words you can understand. In that voice that you so distinctly remember from just a moment ago and from many conversations before. This is me. This is rot. This is endings and disaster. But not a cruel or tragic disaster. A simple, quiet one. We learn, we watch, and we do nothing. And we let the world cave in around us. All rots away. You need to find your way. Not just to stop up the blooming of new flowers, but to let them bloom to the point where they become part of the rot. And spread my worship. Spread my power. Act on my behalf. And learn. Learn the secrets of the other gods. Learn the power that lurks within yourself and this world. And let it all rot away. Piling up. And at that point, Farron.
Yes.
So your watch continues pretty uneventfully. We're just gonna keep your 27.
Mm-hmm.
And with an 18 from Zawin, that's plenty. Is there anything you particularly want to do during watch?
Nothing in particular, I think. Yeah, basically just keeping an eye out, keeping a weapon close to hand just in case.
Yeah. The woman who's on watch with you will lean up against a tree. You didn't know Laureate for very long, did you?
I knew her enough to put a name to a face.
I've been with him for a while. Laureate never could keep a secret. She was charming enough, but her mouth sort of ran past her every time.
Do you have any idea why she attacked that body double? before we knew it was a body double?
I mean, Sylvester was asking her about what she was going to do when she got back to the material. And she let slip, I guess, that her plan, she was pretty sick of following people we'd never agreed to follow into bad ideas when they didn't even know half of what they're doing and couldn't give two shits about us.
That's entirely fair.
Yeah. Just don't trust Ska. I don't know what's going on with her, but there's something else about. She doesn't care about anything that's happening. She just cares about what used to be. But yeah, Laureate's plan, as we sort of teased it out of her, she insisted we should forget all about it every time she mentioned it, that she hadn't said anything. Laureate's plan was to rob all of you blind and leave. My guess is either she, when snooping, found something we didn't, or she just got spooked and tried to stab someone with the hope that, hey, you'll prioritize that over coming after me.
1 against, I want to say, 7 is not going to go well in her favor.
No, but she's a pirate. That's kind of what pirates do.
Ah, yes, that makes sense. And as so far as much sense can be made out of reckless abandon.
Could have sworn I knew her from somewhere else, but I guess I'll never know now. Well, I have more important things, I guess, than trying to place some face too far lost. Found again in a trap.
Sorry, I missed that.
I have better or more important things than trying to place a face too far lost. Found again in a trap. That's what she said.
Well, yes, there is no, not a lot of good can come from just living in the past day to day. We have to keep moving forward.
Mm-hmm. Moving forward and hoping that I'll manage to do what I need to before whatever end of the world Ellipsis is worried about is so far trivial that it never mattered in the first place.
What do you need? Is it something I can help with?
I have to find someone. I need to find a person to fill a role. I think.
What role is that?
If you believe it or not, I used to be a princess.
Oh, that's funny. So am I.
Shit. That's why Sylvester is how he is. He's my oath soldier. Whatever I might feel about that morally, it's not something that can ever be overcome. My kingdom had a complicated situation. My family line, I suppose, tracks down, finds someone with a particular talent, and maintains one of the great seals that protect our world.
So you're
But
looking to find the next person to keep that seal.
yeah, the last one was going to be my sister, but somehow, for some reason, it seems her own oath soldier managed to kill her. This should be impossible.
Is an Earth soldier bound to service?
By contract, they're
Ah,
the results of unbreakable bond. The same aim as any other deal, it cannot be broken, and if that did happen, then the wording could have been somehow overcome, but it's a precise sort of thing.
yes,
And
I've never had to seal a contract myself. But, I
a
understand their
heavy
power.
burden on all involved, but everything is contracts, especially we're in the Feywild. The other planes, at least in my education, are the only thing you can really trust between them is contracts. You can't trust a devil, but those can't break a deal any more than an angel. Or a fae, I guess. But
How fitting.
I need to find a new one. And who knows how long the old one has left.
Do you have any leads? Or anything that might get you a lead? Any
I
contact information?
kind of I was the problem is that you need someone who's early enough in their training to be able to pick up the new talents. Moldable, I guess.
So you need a child or a teenager.
Or just someone who can connect to the music of the weave but hasn't yet specialized in any way. Honestly, given the kind of magic at work, someone who's old is just as good as someone who's young, as long as they're in the right place. And have the right potential. I was tracking. Well, I suspect I was actually tracking Chloe. But Sylvester and I were fleeing our kingdom, and we fell into what ended up eventually being a Mind Flayer prison camp, something to that effect.
That does not sound healthy for anyone involved.
It really wasn't. That's how all of us met. That's how I met Ska and Laureate and Chloe. And a few others, one of whom got apparently eaten by a pirate ship.
Farron opens and closes their mouth a few times, but does not actually say anything in response to that. That one stumps her.
Yeah. But I figured, what the hell, let's go where these people are going. And then we ended up in Feywild. And I don't think that even if I could find anyone, I'd be able to get a sense of direction to follow that here.
Which makes it all the more imperative we get back to our own world.
Yeah. So what about you? I spilled my story.
Well, I was never really considered to be in line for the throne of Sunhaven. My older brothers, they threw themselves into the political goings on. It just didn't hold my attention anywhere near as much as it did for them.
Mm.
And then Stern married, and it wasn't something. It was completely political in nature. There's like nothing that really stands out to it. And I think that was one of the reasons I left. Just the idea of just being stuck somewhere. Admittedly, I did promise to go back someday, but not today, it seems. The discussion I had with my father about leaving, that took days and so many carefully chosen words, you have no idea. But eventually I managed to get my father's permission to leave and join up with a mercenary band where I learned my skills. Unfortunately, most of them have either died or moved on, which has basically left me to my own devices. I took a job guarding a tower owned by a wizard, and then, well, here I am.
Wizards. Yeah.
Well, I didn't have much truck with him. I've heard stories about how they use elementals and such to do their guard work for them, but this one was different. He didn't like to do that. He focused on he liked actually having people around. Claimed actually conversational company made him feel better about himself.
Oh. That is not what I've heard before. Conversational wizards. One of the people Ska actually cares about, who's not here anymore, was apparently a wizard.
I can't
And
say I
again,
had
who's to
much.
say if she actually cares about those people or just cares about the idea of them?
The idea of them.
It's one of the things my order teaches. They teach that we form obsessions not to people, but to the concepts we attach to people, the pedestal we place them upon. The idea that if I am obsessed with you, I am not obsessed with the person you truly are. Instead, I am obsessed with you aesthetically, what I see of your capabilities. And the actual reality of you holds no interest for me. We obviously teach that that's a bad thing that you shouldn't do.
It's like seeing someone through tinted glass.
I suppose. Or building stained glass of a person and being upset that their cheekbones could never chisel the way glass does. Who knows? Perhaps I'm just projecting my obsession with the idea of Ska over who she truly is.
Suggesting you're not immune to the concepts you're already taught.
Far from it. I am.
Or maybe you're just aware of it.
That's the best any of us can hope to be.
Fair enough.
All right. So eventually, morning comes, and all of you who are up, Ska, you do have that use of your sword because it has been dawn, and everyone has gotten a full rest.
Yay, I have hit points again.
Hooray!
Have my spell slots back.
And spell slots, but mostly hit points.
I'm feeling
Did you not
lucky.
take a short rest?
I
Whatever.
think we did.
We did,
thought
but I
we
was
did.
still at half my hit points. And
Oh,
I don't
okay.
have a
Okay,
lot
yeah.
to spare.
Yeah. No, I'm very aware of that. Okay.
I mean, I could say I did it to you only because you did it to me first. But
I don't think that's the order of events here, Jeremy.
I don't know. I legitimately
No, I
am not
definitely
sure.
made Kella after you had built Ibsis, probably before Ibsis was introduced, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty
No.
sure that the order of events is the other way around.
I don't care. This is the internet. I can say wrong things and be right and just say it's an opinion.
Speaking of opinions, does anyone have opinions on what you're going to do now?
No, I have facts on what we're going to do now. So
Cool. Those work too. Also, the
Ipsis-
cat is adorable.
Hi, Cat Loaf.
You are very
Aw.
nice to your cat, the physical kitten.
Yes.
I was like, I'm adorable. Thank you very much.
Once everybody is up and around, Ipsis is like, all right. We are. How far away are we at this point? We are right outside the city, basically.
It was a few hours, and you didn't want to traverse them at night, given the potential risks.
Given that it's the Feywild, yeah.
Yeah.
We're going to where in this city are we going to find this?
Can I remember? Is now the question.
Oh no.
Intelligence saving throw, given previous discussions about how you didn't really pay attention when this happened.
Come on, roll better than a 4.
You can do it.
Come on,
18, that's much better
than
that.
Good.
Yeah, there's a building in the center of town that's essentially kind of a cathedral. You went there, you saw trippy things and a wolf made of stars.
Skull will
Oh,
pull out the wooden carving of the white feather wolf. I believe was what she got at some point. She's like, yeah, I don't know why, but I know where we're going.
Good.
Why doesn't matter.
glad to hear it.
We are heading straight there. Let's not
Lead the way.
divert to side things. If we see a cool side cart that is selling something that might look interesting, just keep walking.
Just walk past the shiny things.
Just walk right past it. I mean, that is generally good advice in the Feywild anyways. But
Thank you for your kind instruction, Ipsis.
Thank you.
I'm not speaking for
Appreciate
you.
it.
I know you have been here for a while. Well, saying that. I'm speaking to the people who are new to the Feywild.
Gotcha. Walk past
Duly noted.
the shiny stuff. Got it.
Walk directly past them. We just want to get out of here and go home before we get roped into another thing we have to do first.
Gotcha.
All right, let's go.
All right. So after a few hours of travel, you arrive in the village surrounding the altar of sidestepping. This is I believe you're on the correct map now.
Cool.
Wolfina is
Yeah.
fidgety as hell.
As you sort of walk past tended cropland, some that grow unusual things, but most that seem, this is sort of the tamest part of the Feywild that some of you have seen. It's a fairly typical village, I suppose. Most of the people here are elves, and specifically Eladrin with their hair full of leaves and sort of elemental affectations, or seasonal affectations.
What
There's
season is it?
in the village at the moment, it still seems to be winter, which Sky, you'd know, was the case when you came before. The season of the Eladrin does seem to vary. Some have taken to the winter of their climate, or perhaps are simply winter a lot of the time, or just felt like being winter today. Some have the bright, sort of dried out patterns of summer. Some, there's a few fall, autumn, and spring as well. There, as you sort of walk into the town, you note that there is a small port on the water that seems to head towards a waterfall and some river. There is a large, unmistakable structure in the middle of town that, Sky, you definitely with an 18 remember being where you previously met the father of wolves. There's an inn, there's a marketplace towards the center of town. I want everyone to just give me perception checks, just see if
Sure.
any of you spot anything interesting.
Hold on.
Another 27.
Just a second.
18.
18.
10.
18. Also, just to check, how familiar am I with the nature of the Eladrin?
Having been in the Feywild a long time, Eladrin are humanoids. They're
Right.
specifically elves. Elves are magical, and they are from the Feywild initially. The ones that live in the Feywild tend to be more responsive to that kind of atemporal nature. And those are Eladrin.
Yep.
You'd also be familiar with high elves living here, and Drow. Drow are
Right.
like,
I mean, I know Drow from pre-Fey.
yeah. And they're all, this is an important note about the setting, they're all elves. They're all
Yes.
equally elves. They just have sort of assimilated different elements of the nature or around of the magic around them in ways that, along with things like biology, have created essentially subspecies of elves.
Mm-hmm. And I'm familiar with sort of the seasonal aspect.
Yeah,
to a
that
degree. Okay.
that
cool.
they shift between seasons.
Cool. Great. So it's winter, so they are a bunch of depressed elves.
Well, not
I
all
know,
of them
I know,
are
I know.
winter right now, but
yeah, I know. Some stick with,
winter
and yeah.
winter is the somber season.
Good. That means they'll be less likely to speak up and
Emo
distract
elves.
people.
We're just a bunch of emo elves.
They're all maining Reaper right now.
Yeah.
Wolfina
No,
is
they're
kind of
all
to the back of the group.
they're all maining Hanzo. Hanzo's the angsty, sad one. Reaper's
You're-
the murdery one.
That's true.
Reaper
that
is
very
Summer.
Listen to
This
Kira.
is an important distinction that has a lot to do with what's going on in this town. No, it isn't. But it's an important
It's
one.
your next task.
Your next task is to play Overwatch. Oh, wait. No.
Diva. Diva's the key.
I think Diva's probably Spring. We're not getting into it too
No,
much.
we're not. I'm sorry. I'll shut up.
Fine.
I
This
would
happened.
say that, oddly enough, May is spring.
Yes, I will agree with that.
Oh yeah, absolutely. May is a character you play as a spring person. Or just as any season who wants to fuck people over, which is everything but autumn.
Yes.
Anyway.
Sorry.
No, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to.
Farron, as you are not having this conversation, but presumably having some form of conversation headed into town. Farron, you out of the corner of your eye spot one of the women sort of. You have to go through the marketplace to head where Ipsis wants you to head. So you spot one of the women who was sort of looking at fruits at a fruit stand. Kind of, her eyes track your group and then widen. You see a sort of autumn leaves to her hair, or suddenly a blossoming into bright flowers, almost as though her season has shifted out of shock. And you probably are the first to spot, followed by everyone who rolled 18s, and shortly after by the person who rolled a 10.
Me.
She just makes a beeline for your group, seeing you.
That is fascinating and creepy at the same time.
The rest of you did
Leave
not
that alone.
necessarily spot the change. You just see an older, somewhat older, or Spring Eladrin walking towards the group of you.
Crossbow just goes up a little bit. Not aiming, but goes up in a
There's like
hopefully
easy.
subtle back off.
There's like easy. We don't know. It's fine. Easy.
This person does not stop walking, doesn't even seem to notice that you have a weapon drawn. Sorry.
Keep walking, keep walking, keep walking.
Scott, she actually like reaches up and like grabs your face.
I want this again.
Oh no. She's a god.
Okay.
I thought you guys were going to take way longer to get anything done. It's cool that you, but I need
See,
to.
we're doing better.
Ipsis is goal
There will be
oriented.
more stalling happening. Don't worry.
Yeah, don't worry about it. It's fine.
Campaign. Don't worry.
There need to be conversations that happen shortly.
The conversations, hopefully, after we get out of the Feywild.
After we get out of the wow.
Full disclosure,
And who here speaks Sylvan?
I do.
Me.
I think.
Orcish.
Okay.
That would
So
be
Scott, you don't understand what's being
Yes.
said to you.
Nope.
Catch a few words of it, but the context is lost. Those who speak Sylvan do know what's going on. Isil?
In fair, I'm
No,
just gonna look at each other.
no, you would be on a area by now. How? You're so old.
Scott just looks so confused and just kind of glances over, tries to catch Wolfina's eyes.
This person
Tries to-
thinks they know you.
My Aniaria. How do
Yeah, I
you
know
not
what that word means.
look at me and know who I am?
I think this
It
person
doesn't
believes
seem to be
and
a
may
word.
actually be your mother or something to that effect. Let's keep going.
Go will I forget. Does anybody understand giant
Nope.
in this group?
No.
No one,
You
right?
are the only one who knows it.
Okay.
You gotta kill Ipsis to get someone with giant in there.
I know, right?
That might happen.
Next character.
When if Ipsis actually says
Yes,
that,
let's keep going.
no, but does Ipsis actually say this person thinks she's my mother?
Yes, no, everything, yeah, absolutely. This person thinks she
Scott
may be and may actually be your mother.
Scott will reply to that in giant.
Again, none of us speak that language that you keep saying.
Fuck off, Ipsis.
She'll repeat herself in Elvish. My mother is dead.
Then
I think.
grandmother or something. I don't know.
Exist.
I turn to the... What?
Let them talk.
One of them is speaking a language the other doesn't understand. I'm working as a
No,
translator.
we'll translate. Let them talk.
Fine.
I gently in Sylvan to the woman. Is there a place where we can talk quietly away from all of them?
She'll. Yes, I've been staying at my cousin's place. Come, Ariana. It's good to see you.
Do you want to meet us at this temple or what?
I'll meet you at the temple when I can.
Gotcha.
Get some food or something. And I turn and I hand on both backs gently in a quiet direction away from people who's it's none of their business to hear.
Yeah. She seems to, anytime she looks to look where she's going, her gaze immediately drifts back to Ska as though she's worried that Ska will just pop out of existence. An unreasonable fear in the Feywild, but the instant she keeps her eyes off of her,
I am.
Yep.
It's worth mentioning, and I know this has been asked in other games before. I don't know if it's been. I don't remember if it's been asked in this game, and since it's vague, does Hunter's Mark have a visual effect?
I don't think
It
so.
can if you so choose. It does not typically. That is a GM decision thing, though. It does not actually have a textual component that says one way or the other.
I am Hunter's marking Ska.
Okay.
Because Ska has all the things to get us home, and
Exactly.
Ipsis is going to be tracking the fuck out of that elf.
Yeah. Okay.
That's fair.
All right. So, the three of you who are heading, you really don't need to follow, but are you trying to stealth along, or are you just keeping that hunter's mark up?
I think we probably just need to keep the hunter's mark up.
Yeah.
If something goes wrong, we run like hell.
That is certainly an option. I mean, and she hasn't said anything about that. It is worth
Okay, no, that's fine.
She's going to stand there, watch them head off, eye out exactly where they're going.
Mm-hmm.
Look up to the temple. It's like, I'm going there. You can go where you want, but that's where I'm going because that's where home is.
I like his parents.
Wolfina yells over her shoulder, "You have no fucking boons on your own."
That's what.
There's like,
You're moving along swiftly.
Wolfina is correct. I don't. But I know the only place they can be exchanged at.
Fucking neat.
And that's the way I walk.
It's like a John Woo standoff. Jumps
Alright.
flying everywhere.
Oh, I love this
Anyway.
dynamic so much.
So do I.
All right, let's get into some awkward conversation, shall we?
So the two of you that are heading with this elven woman arrive at a house where she doesn't necessarily unlock the door so much as place several stones down near the door in such a way that the door swings open, and sort of gestures all of you inside, or the two of you inside. Once you enter, she collects the stones and starts up a small kettle. What has happened, Ariana? It has been... How long has it even been? How are you still... And she's saying all of this in Sylvan at Ska.
Ma'am, I'm sorry, her name is not Ariane. What was the name?
Ariana.
Is that what she was saying? Okay.
That's what she's been saying since she corrected herself the first time.
What did she initially say the first time?
So when she first spoke, she sorry, pages, notes and stuff. She said, Issel, no, you'd be Ariana now. I believe that's a name Wilfina would actually recognize.
Yeah, it is.
Dana would definitely recognize Issel.
Sure fucking is. You don't remember that name anymore, right, Kat? Okay.
Nope, she does not remember it.
Did I pick up on that? This is really key.
Probably.
Okay, because I would have been very keyed in on that. Okay, what do you know about Issel in Sylvan?
She's too old to still be a child, but is she still Issel? My Issel, my Ariana is... We are... And she phrased this.
During this entire thing, Scott is just kind of like looking around, very confused, trying to make sure that like she's not going to get trapped in this house. Because she's been trapped in houses before.
She was my daughter, is my daughter, but long ago, we were separated. I assumed she remained with a clan as I wandered. How have you been? Why does she not understand me?
She doesn't speak Sylvan, ma'am. And she has no memory of Issel. I cannot explain it, but the Feywild is a strange place. Although she's not been here long. Please. Scott?
Yeah.
I kind of puts a hand on you. I don't know what's going on here. But I believe this woman is your mother.
She'll say something in giant and then catch herself. How?
It's a great question. It seems there has been some time fuckery, perhaps. as does result in time in the Feywild. It seems that she has aged while you have not. And she is confused because you do not know her or your name. Issel.
Yeah. Forgetting my name was the first thing that happened.
Oh. In Sylvan. Something has occurred, I do not know what, but she has forgotten a great deal.
She looks at you sort of skeptic. Might be the best way to describe it. Why will she not talk to me?
She cannot speak Sylvan. Do you speak Common or any other language? Only Sylvan.
I taught you words. How do you not remember them?
She forgot a very great deal, ma'am. Please don't become upset.
Scott, what are you doing?
She's still just kind of looking around confused, trying to like remember anything. Trying to see if the name Issel being said out loud brings back anything.
It's distinctly, almost instinctively familiar, as we sort of established before. You know that name. You might even fundamentally associate that name with yourself. But just wanting to think about it isn't going to change anything at this point.
Yeah.
But you do hear another voice in your head.
Yes, I do.
If it wasn't obvious, this is an opportunity for you to prove yourself. And that's all you hear from them right now. But the distinct impression of an irritatingly bright smile is there. And while that's happening, we're going to transition to those who are outside.
Yep.
Ibsis, are you heading in, or are you just standing outside of the chapel?
He's walking up to the temple, or the tower thing.
Yeah.
And she's not going in yet because, well, Fae people tend to don't necessarily. There's a whole hospitality thing and territory, and this person may not follow that, but it's best not to push that. So she just walks up and finds a place to sit outside and then stands next to that sitting spot.
Cool.
Because she assumes that other people are going to want to sit. So she's leaving it for other people. See how considerate she is.
Very.
And she just sort of stands there, crosses her arms, and looks back to where, as near as she can tell, they had headed off. The others had headed off.
Yeah, you were able to pinpoint which house it was very easily.
And looks generally discontent.
All right. Baron, what are you up to?
Baron is going to, well, apart from the obvious of following Ibsis, once we get to a place where we can just sit around, let me just double check, see if Okay. Well, there's not a lot. There's not a lot to do right around here, is there? I would assume
Probably
not.
not in anything that we might want. Anything that might look like an appealing thing to do will probably do anything from provide tingly sensations to teleport you to the abyss.
Ah, well.
This is the Feywild.
That sucks because I do love tingly sensations. What?
You're making a joke, right?
Yes, I am.
Okay. I'm not always good at telling these things. So,
Well, in that case, Farron is gonna sit down, pull out her lute, and ask any objections.
I don't mind. I don't mind a tune.
I don't care.
She's just gonna start noodling.
All right. Yep.
All
It gives
right.
us something.
This is just sort of looking impatient and as near as annoyance tends to show a bit of annoyance.
Oh, no nonsense characters.
Oh, completely lacking in any sense of emotional empathy characters. But yes, that too. So yeah. Oops. She does eventually look. So let's assume the
That's-
worst.
Okay.
Once Ipsis opens her mouth, Farron stops playing.
Just as, let's call it a thought experiment. Let's assume the worst and say that we never see those two again. Because they
Okay.
get kidnapped and taken away because that may not have been an Eladrin. That could have been any number of creatures in disguised form.
Okay.
Well,
What do we do then?
well, someone mentioned that Scar had whatever it was we needed to get back,
This is true.
and the Father of Wolves is the one who told you about this.
Them. I was not here.
No,
But
them.
yes.
Told them.
Okay. So
if all else fails, we could go inside and plead our case.
yeah.
That is conceivable, I suppose.
But before that happens, I think we do need to. If they do go missing, I think we need to try to find them.
Really?
I agree.
Why?
Why not?
It's the right thing to do.
I'm curious for your reasons why that's the case.
Do you remember what that man said in the airship port?
No, because it was a few weeks ago.
Ah. Well.
Sorry. Bravo, Jerry. Bravo.
Well, he was particularly insistent about all of us being important in some way.
Yeah.
I
Why?
suppose.
And the more people we have on board
Make
for
me
whatever
an
this
intelligence saving throw
Okay.
on that. Because you might have gathered something different from that conversation, given your background.
17.
Ooh.
So it is worth knowing for you, from your perspective, that Well, he did identify you all as essentially heroes connected to the planes in such a way that means he also mentioned this specifically as an era of fallen and failed heroes, that there were a shit ton of heroes and a lot of them aren't doing the right thing or aren't doing their job, and that's why we're in this mess.
Okay.
So to you, it may not actually be vital that those specific people,
Right.
because you think about this very much from the point of view of a Yanti.
Yes. Pure pragmatism and yes, and everything else
Yeah,
that
so that's
entails
something you
with
might
being a Yanti and
want
being
to.
a severely emotionally damaged person. Um, legit. So that's an interesting point of view. Again, I would argue that we are not necessarily. We have been named as potentially important. That's different from fated. So I don't know. It might be worth at least a brief um, brief foray to determine what the issue, what's going on. I'm also vaguely concerned. I feel like there is at least some level of detectable enmity coming off of.
Ska, is that what you're saying?
No, Wilfina.
Okay.
And I'm not sure why that is. Not that I care. I just it is what it is. But that kind of thing I have seen can get in the way of thinking rationally.
Oh,
It's something to keep in
fair
mind.
enough.
Anyways, this is all obviously a just in case scenario. I'm sure it will all turn out fine, which is the most unconvincing thing she has ever said since you've seen her. We just have to wait from here.
Aaron, you're muted.
All
I
right.
was not
So
saying.
we're going to transition back to Ska and Wolfina at this point. The woman, after sort of looking distressed, thinks, and runs over to sort of. It's not necessarily a separate room, but clearly the bed area of this small cottage. Rifles through a drawer. Oh, she mentioned having something for this. Oh, it's fine. It will be fine. And Wolfina, you can see these bright spring petals sort of frosting over as she's looking,
Mhm.
but not quite truly transitioning yet.
Okay.
And she pulls out a small amulet, puts it on, and like seems to concentrate on it for a moment. And when she speaks next, both of you understand her in the language you understand the best. Seems to be some sort of magical communication device.
Oh,
May I ask who Ariana is?
Ariana, Ariana is my Ariana. My Ishil is my Ariana.
Oh,
Ariana is the child's name. She is. When looks to you, Scott. Do you truly not remember me? You can give me a wisdom saving throw. Okay, with a 15, as she keeps talking to you and she keeps looking at you, her face is familiar. It's still hard to place, but you feel like a much younger version of her face you may have seen. She seems a lot shorter than she should be from your memories. Or maybe you were shorter? That would fit too if what she's saying is accurate. Yeah. You to some extent you can recall only vaguely her.
I will stare at the floor as she starts to talk. The giants came when I was 10. They attacked. I thought they killed everyone except me.
The giants? I lost track of our clan while I was out foraging. The continents moved apart, and I was on one side and they were on the other. I never found you again, but I didn't think. So you would still be. No, you're older now. You've grown. You needn't your child name, but how do you not remember, Ariana?
They couldn't pronounce it, so they never said it.
But you came anyways. You came to find us, to find what was left.
No. I really didn't.
Well, whatever your reasons, you're here now, and that's good. That's good. It's good to be back. I can explain anything that you lost in the time we were not.
It's been 30 years.
It's been far longer than that on my time. But that's not important.
I just want to go home.
Of course, I can take you home. I know how to travel from here on the winds to what is left of our clan.
That she'll look up at Wolfina. We should go now. They'll be waiting.
Staff you needed.
Sorry. Wolfina has sunk to the floor and is on her knees praying.
I imagine the prayer is, please don't leave me alone with these people. Please don't leave me alone with these people.
Hey, come on. Me and Farron just got here. We're cool.
You're trying to get out of praying.
I am saying there is confusion and unrest and hurt and possibly even danger. I do not know what to do. And I have a hand on the hilt of the weapon. Are you standing or are you still sitting?
I don't think she sat down at all. So
Oh, you didn't sit down at all? Okay. I'm on the floor. So.
No, Wolfina, technically you don't get this till next level, but given we're right on that cusp, why don't you give me a divine intervention roll? Roll me a D100.
Oh!
Wow.
Why
That's
not?
super kind of you.
I suppose.
It's GM intervention.
No, it's
It's Aaron.
right on the edge of being level 10, and it makes sense. So, unfortunately, it doesn't work this time.
Don't.
But you try. I gave you a chance so that you
I
wouldn't.
appreciate that.
Yeah.
Scott, take a moment.
What?
To not do something that you might regret for the rest of your life.
But Wolfina's not the only one here with the god. So, Sky, you hear a voice in your mind again. Make contact. Sever this completely in whatever way suits you best. You do not want some strange woman following you home, do you? Demonstrate to her truly that you do not care about this lie.
With tears in her eyes, I will start walking toward the door.
Are you going to do anything?
Yeah. When she gets to the door, she'll stop and look at Wolfina and then look at the woman and say, I don't know who you are, but I lost that life long ago. It should stay hidden. And she'll go to open the door to leave.
Are you
Stop.
She's gonna open the door.
You hear in your mind, you only get so many chances. As you're gonna need to make me a saving throw, I gather, from Wolfina.
Oh no.
Well, with a nat 1.
You're frozen at the edge of the door, and for a moment, you're not sure how your god has just decided your body gets to stop moving. Then you look back and realize it probably wasn't your god, as you do see Wolfina's hand to her focus.
I'm so sorry, Scott, but just wait. Just wait.
Over. It's okay. We can find a way to reconcile what you've learned with who you are. Your past is here. I could help you recover it. It's okay that you've lost things. We all have.
Do I believe this woman?
Insight roll.
$15.
You have never seen someone more honest in your life.
Okay, that fits with what I did then. Scott, just wait. And she's getting a little, I am terrified of what I'm out to find when we go through to the other side. I may have lost everything, and you, this woman, you found what you lost without even fucking looking for it, and you're giving it up? Do you know how long I've waited to try and find my family again, and here she's found you? I dropped the whole person.
And Scott will whip around and look Wolfina directly in the eye and go, "We're in the Feywild. I don't even know if I believe it. I just
I
wanna
do.
go home."
I'm not leaving until I know what's going on.
Ska, what are you doing? The old person has been dropped.
Yep.
Just as a reminder, or less than a minute ago, there was a conversation. But do whatever you want.
Yeah, she's she's a little crazy at the moment.
Sorry.
I don't know this person.
Do I believe her?
Insight roll on Ska. Ska, you can give me another wisdom save.
12.
5.
Whoa!
Again, the memories are hard to place. You can't really put them fully together. But everything this woman says rings as true. Ska, roll me a deception check.
12.
There's something off about what she's saying, but ties technically go to the defender, so maybe Ska's telling the truth. You might actually know more about this than Ska, though, because you have that paper.
God does not remember any of that.
How can you be so cold when you've been handed something that you didn't even know to look for? Trust me that this is not a thing that you can leave behind you without consequence.
I left it behind long ago.
And look at what it's done to you.
I thought you wanted nothing more than to get out of this place. You've been here how long?
Long enough to know that it may already be too late for me, but it might not be too late for you.
Ska, in your head, you hear a voice. Make contact with this illusion. Drive it home that you have broken this bond and have no interest in returning to it.
There's even a chance that what this person is saying is true, and I believe it is. You will never be able to forget this moment as being the moment that you gave up.
And while that's in that tense standoff, the three of you have been sitting around discussing whether or not you're going to ditch your allies, and to what extent, and in what version of this you ditch your allies. When just sort of casually padding up to sit it on that seat that Ibsis left open next to her, there's a large... Well, your instinct is to refer to it as a wolf, but the creature is covered in feathers that just sort of sits down, and let's see if I can find that character image.
So it's like a wolf, but covered in feathers.
Yeah, let me pull up that.
I mean, this fits with the description that I believe Ska has given of this figure. So
Okay.
I don't know. I don't remember
Ska
if Ska
mentioned
expressed
something
that.
about a wolf covered in
Yeah,
feathers.
that may have been before Theron and Theron showed up.
I think that was after, but I don't think. Yeah, I don't know exactly.
I remember someone mentioning something like that, but I don't know if it was Scott or not.
Yeah, can you see that?
Hold on.
The creature is mostly black and definitely has the sort of face of a wolf, but off of the back and off of the back of essentially the mane, there are these bright blue tint-ended feathers, and a sort of several large swishing tails as the creature sort of sits down, just watching the group of you. You would also remember that this looks a lot like a figurine Scott had, and Scott actually pulled out when you guys headed into town.
Are you the person? Are you the person that we're here to see?
The head tilts, and then slowly shakes no.
You can understand us?
Aww. Seems to not.
Where is the person that we are here to see?
The tails sort of swish and the creature stands up, nudging open the door next to you, the door to this temple. So it sits wide open. It kind of uses its body to hold the door open, and looks to all of you as though questioning if you're going to follow.
Can't go inside yet. We're waiting for 2 more to join us.
Yeah.
The creature
I
nods.
look at the creature. Is this a one time? If we ask for more time, is it an enter now or do not enter matter?
In response, the creature sort of pads back over, takes up that seat again, and just sort of continues watching you.
Looks like it's willing to wait.
All right. This is starting to look a little twitchy at the moment.
Is your eye twitching a little bit?
Just a little uncomfortable.
And then they will look at her and they'll be here. It's a wonderful thing called patience.
I have plenty of patience.
Of that I have no doubt.
All right. So the other two. Scott, what are you doing? In this moment, you've only got a second. You've got to make a choice.
How close is the woman to us?
She's standing within arm's reach. She's not touching you at the moment, but he seems sort of desperate for you to acknowledge her.
All right. Sky's gonna reach out and put a hand on her arm.
She sort of reaches back towards you as though to grasp you into a hug.
She'll go in for the hug.
Okay.
And knowing that she can understand because of the necklace, will whisper in her ear, "I'm sorry that I don't know you, but I have to go home.
We can solve this together. Please.
If you make your way back to the material plane, find me." And she'll break from the hug and walk out.
Okay. All right. Wolfina, you don't hear this, but you do see it. The woman is sort of standing there in the doorway, looking longingly after What are you gonna do?
You're muted.
To unmute myself. I watch her leave. I watch her leave and just sit there on the floor. And I'm struggling with some stuff right now. Yeah.
There's just some shit that needs to be sorted through at the moment.
Some discussions.
Well, like a combo of compassion and disgust.
Well, Scout's walking slowly away. Like she's not like running away. So
Oh,
she's
run!
she's
Otherwise,
hoping-
something else will grab you.
I
Run!
know, right? She's hoping that Wolfina will catch up to her.
Not yet, she's not. She was even right in the borderline of being against what she believed in, trying to press the point. It didn't work. She's not gonna continue trying to help somebody who doesn't want to be helped. You can only do so much.
As Ska's form does fade into sort of the distance of the city, fade back into the market, the woman will sort of look. Would you like some tea?
I'm sorry I couldn't convince her to stay for a little while longer.
She acknowledged me at all. And she gave me the opportunity to continue. That's what matters.
Do you want to come to the material plane?
I will find my own way back to her.
Do I have a physical... Okay, I do have a physical note. I pull out the physical note and with my pen and quill and say, anything you could tell me about any of these names, I would appreciate in case he comes to regret, as I trust that she will, what she's decided today.
All right.
I can't force her to do something she doesn't want, but I can at least console her when she breaks free of whatever strangeness seems to be affecting her.
So look at the list. Issel and Estiar. Well, Issel is my Ariana, who just walked off. My precious one. Issel is the name of a child. Ariana is the name of one who has grown. And Esti would be her little brother, the other of my children.
Do you know where he is?
No, I had assumed they would be together, but she says that all she knows are dead.
I wasn't sure if maybe he was out with you foraging when you said. What about Neferin?
Neferin is my married name. I am still Nefer, but until I find Hishiren again,
Hishiren is your husband?
Hishiren is my husband. Those are our names as together. I'm Neferin, as is Anayari's mother. She says mother.
Okay.
And Hishiren is Hishiren as my husband, as her father.
What about the middle name there?
Tithieri was Isel's It was Hishiran's brother. Yari was Iso's favorite uncle and the leader of our tribe.
I must beg your pardon, but I need to show you something else. I don't know that you'll have any recollection of it, but you will pull out the scrap of journal entry, and rather than pulling the whole thing, there was a part of it that, if I remember from an earlier roll that I made, sounded like some sort of religious doctrine, and she will just say a section of the doctrine part, and say, your daughter is plagued with nightmares of something that I don't know anything about. Does any of this sound familiar?
She can make a religion check with her +0. No, this is not. If it is of faith as you so claim, it is not one I know. This is not of, well, whether or not it is of the Feywild. The Feywild is everything. The Feywild is the chaos of the worlds itself. But it is not something that I know, something of her past. It is something I could help her with, but she's gone again.
Maybe not for good this time.
One must hope. One must always hope until winter.
I find that winter is a hopeful time in itself sometimes, even if it is the time of sleeping.
Perhaps.
Wolfina hugs her.
Yeah. Okay.
And that's where the sucking of your life force out of your body begins.
That's okay. If I'm gonna have my life force sucked out, it's by some nice old grandma type, so, at least I get a good hug before I die.
Yeah, go out hugging. That's all right.
She's never seen again.
Are you a good lich or a bad
And we
lich?
are going to cut away there because you guys are being ominous, and I like that. So, yeah, you wander up the trail to the cathedral.
No, she wouldn't have gone that far. She would have gone.
Okay. Where were you going to go? Because it's not a very big town.
Yep.
She probably would have gone just out of sight and then, sat down and waited for Wolfina.
Okay. So, I guess we're transitioning to Ipsis.
Yeah.
Ipsis, you
Yep.
sense that hunter's mark of yours moving. Seems to start moving for a little while, slowly, sort of in your direction, but not exactly. Then it stops. You can still place it, but it's not in the place you pinpointed before, and it stops moving again after about a minute.
Well, that may not be good. She just stands up. It's like, wait here. I will be right back.
What's up?
All right. What are the other two doing?
I kind of glance at Farron, like, should we follow?
Ipsis, what's going on?
One, my quarry has moved, but has stopped.
Do you need backup or what?
Which probably sounds really confusing because you guys.
Yeah,
don't know
exactly. I'm like,
magic
do you need
exactly.
backup or what?
No, I am good. I assume if I need help,
There will be a fireball.
There will be a
Yes.
mass explosion. Okay.
you will hear the sounds of a large explosion, and then fire will start to happen.
All right.
Okay, so in case of panic, run to the fire. Got it.
Yes.
Gotcha.
The
See?
opposite of what you should normally do.
No, you're a protagonist. It's like Doctor Who. Protagonists run towards the explosion, everyone else runs away.
Right. See, I look at Farron. See, we're getting better. We're getting better. This is good.
I think I'm finally starting to understand this one.
Absolutely. You know, I mean, I know technically this is only our second day, but I think we're getting better.
God, after you've been waiting there for a few minutes, Ibsis comes up.
Where's
Yes.
Rolfina?
Sky is sitting on the ground with her like head in her hands. With my mother, apparently.
Why? No, check that. I don't think I don't think that's relevant to the situation. She caught herself. She did not say, I don't care.
See, even else is doing better. This is good.
Aw, you're evolving.
No, I'm not. I'm just learning how to deal with this group better.
That's evolving of a sort.
That's
not-
evolving.
It's not potentially relevant. Is she coming with?
Skal will kind of laugh. I have no idea.
Is your mother coming with?
I have no idea. She'll
Did you
turn
ask?
and she'll turn and point to where they were. You can go find out. I'll be right here.
All right. Do 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 do.
All right. Yeah. So Wolfina, as you're talking to her, this woman, she seems, especially now that Scott is gone, to be pacing constantly. She'll sort of pull out some pastries, some tea that she actually, I think I said, she set boiling, started, and sort of put them on the table. Here, have some.
If it seems like it will make her happy, I will sit and eat with her for a minute. But as I do this, I'm going to let me just double check the spell. Yeah, I'm going to say a quick prayer and cast Beacon of Hope
Aww.
on both of us. More because the wording of the spell says that it restores hope and vitality. And I think we are both struggling with that whole concept of hope right now.
Okay.
So
yeah, the spell in chat, mark it off your sheet. And you are now glowing as you eat some pastries.
I will ask her if there's anything I can do for her before I leave that might alleviate any fear or suffering or anything that I can do to help.
Just stay with me a little while longer. To know that she's with someone who is good is... I should become used to this. I will find her again, and I can let her know all the things she seems to have forgotten. But just give me this time.
Of course.
At this point, Ibsis, you're in front of a door.
I'm opening the door and walking in.
Okay, give me a strength check. The door is locked.
Out the door. The bane of all D&D players.
Yep. 13.
You know what? It's a thatch hut. Yeah, the door doesn't necessarily open so much as you push on it hard enough to break off where it's been attached to the rest of the straw of this place.
You break
Okay.
the hinges.
But
More the
Wolfina,
lock latch, but yeah. Kunk. Wolfina.
door's kind of hanging off its hinge, and there's an Ibsis.
And
Wolfina.
as soon as the door starts blast open, she turns around on instinct and hold person.
That's
Wisdom
fine.
saving throw.
I have a good wisdom save.
That's okay. She's just, you scared her.
Of course, I don't
Not
roll well.
enough.
The problem is I have a good bonus.
7.
I don't roll well.
Yeah.
So, Wilfie. And that look of annoyance is he just lights
Now
in the
both
eyes.
eyes are twitching.
Wolfina
Another
turns.
crack in the mask.
What's the old woman's reaction to this?
She seems very confused. She seems to recognize Ibsis from
Yes.
previous as someone you know.
So Wolfina, I recover from my startlement, overcome now with annoyance, and turn very calmly and say to the woman, I will make sure she fixes that before I leave. Don't worry. And I continue sitting there drinking my tea
All right.
And glowing.
and glowing.
Yeah, Ibsis, there's a glowing aura coming off of Wolfina as she drinks tea.
I mean,
Yeah.
6 seconds later, I get another saving throw.
Yeah, I was just going to say, you noticed that. And also, I need you to make me another save.
It's 18.
Okay.
That was
What's your save,
unnecessary.
CC, Wolfina?
17.
Oh, yeah.
Just made it.
Well,
I
that
have
was unnecessary.
My back to her and am drinking tea with the older lady and eating my tea.
Wolfina, let me try again. Wolfina, Ska's mother, are you coming with to the material plane?
I told you quite distinctly that I would meet you at the temple. Have I changed that statement or modified it in any way since we last spoke?
No, but you know as well as I do that things can get very complex if you take a side trip in this realm. So
If something had changed, I would let you know. Before you leave, fix the door.
unless you were unable to let me know.
Do you really think that Ska hates me so much that she would leave me in a dangerous situation?
It
The
would be the
strongest and
practical
most
thing to
able-bodied
do.
member of our party.
Hey.
It has nothing to do with hate.
I don't
It
know
is the
you
most
yet.
practical thing to do.
Ibsis, you can give me an insight check on this woman who is just confused now.
Oh, good. Insight. I'm very mediocre at that.
Not bad.
I don't know why that.
Okay.
Yeah, 20.
All right. You don't believe anything about this situation. It is exceptionally shady.
Uh huh. Yeah. Yeah, it is. Hold on a second.
Wolfina, they're good pastries. Also, Ibsis has not yet fixed the door, as far as I can tell.
No, she's currently staring at Ska's mom.
Just a reminder that when I rolled a 15, I was told I have never met anyone more trustworthy in my life.
Correct.
So I
Yep.
wholeheartedly believe this woman and am
I
pissed.
Yep,
totally
we
get
know.
it. And she just completely ignores Wilfina at the moment. Walks directly up and gets down about this far away from the woman's face. Who are you?
I am. To you, I would be best known as Nefera, and I am Little Issa Hill, your traveling companion, who would be our Anayari by now in proper time. I am her mother.
Does that ring remotely true to me?
I
can do another roll if you like.
Yeah, you can give me a history check because
Okay.
you. I mean, that's
Yeah.
not how drow structure their families, but that wouldn't necessarily matter anyways.
10?
With a 10, the exact family structure of the of exact family and social structure of Eladrin or Feywild elves in general, you don't know. However, you do know that they have childhood names, they have adult names, and they tend to take a different name that indicates that they are married, that tends to be joint with the name of the person they marry.
Okay.
They might go by all of them, but usually they go by the one that's most relevant.
Mm-hmm.
So what she's saying makes sense from that perspective.
But it's still, I guess what I'm saying is, does she give it, are there any indications to me of how honest she's being? Factual or not?
Factual or not, you can make me another insight roll.
Okay. 20.
Oof.
Those words are all true and they are all accurate observations. But there's something off. There's something that isn't as it seems.
What aren't you telling us?
I've told you all there is to tell. My daughter has wandered off again.
There is a simple solution to that. You can come with.
She told me to find her in the material plane, so I will respect her wishes.
Better
and
option.
Do so then.
You come with us, and once we all get to the material plane at the same time in the same location of each other, you will have found her by looking to your right.
You are being incredibly rude to the person whose house you just barged into.
That's because there is something wrong here.
That is what I asked of my daughter. I asked us to come with her or to take her with me, and she has told me not to. Would you say I should ignore her wishes?
I would like you to come as my companion that just happens to be traveling in the same direction as Ska.
Why should we even bring you with us again? Remind me. After the way you're acting. Goodness.
I'm sorry, I'm not listening to that thing right now.
Ooh.
Ipsis, you can make me an Arcana check. I believe you get a bonus to things that say.
Yes, I do. I get advantage for Faye.
All right, so with advantage, you can make me an Arcana check. At this point, unless you break the illusion, it's going to be very hard to convince Wilfina it is any sort of illusion.
Whether she comes with us or not, honestly, doesn't matter. The fact is, I'm in this person's house, whether or not you believe she is who she says she is, which I have no fucking reason to doubt. Pardon my language, ma'am. Just fix the door. I'll meet you in a few minutes. Stay outside if you must, although I don't honestly know why you care so much, because you seem to completely disregard everything I say, as you've so flatly said.
I'm so
Whatever being this
very
is,
sorry.
broke their
Why
door.
don't you leave?
Please help me fix it. Because I'm having
I'm
tea,
casting
for
a
God's
suggestion
sake.
spell, is what I'm saying.
Oh no.
All right, which wisdom save?
Wisdom saving throw.
Wolfina, roll me a wisdom saving throw. We'll see how this goes.
As the two divine spellcasters with high wisdom levels try and do
What's
shit. I think it's 15. It is. It's 15.
Okay.
I know it just happened, I believe. Yes?
I believe so.
Yeah, suggestion is not a subtle spell. Oh, actually, you get advantage because you're an elf.
It doesn't matter. It's a success anyways.
No, wait. Yeah, it's a success. Never mind. Ignore me. Yeah, usually when you succeed a charm effect save, you notice that a charm effect was attempted on you.
And I mean, you could interpret what I said as subtle, but it was not intended to be.
No.
And you've also seen Ibsis do similar things to members of the party before.
Why do you insist in inserting yourself in a situation which I very clearly said is none of your business?
Because I'm looking out for Ska's best interests, and you are not seeing things clearly.
Why? We're about to go home. I'm having tea with someone, regardless of who you think they are. Let me have tea and fix the gore. Just step outside. I'll join you in a few minutes after I have my tea. In fact, I beg your pardon, ma'am. I will cast my protection from poison spell. If you're
I wasn't even thinking of doing that, but I'm glad I've made you that paranoid.
You're not a D&D player unless you're paranoid.
All right.
I cast that spell very clearly with an apologetic look towards the woman. Please fix the door of whoever this is. I don't really care. I'm just having a pleasant tea.
Now that Wolfina has kind of brought it to your mind, damaging the...
Oh yeah, isn't good. She knows.
Damaging the creature responsible almost certainly would have some impact on the illusion.
God damn it. Yeah, I know. I just really don't want to take it to that level.
Absolutely reasonable.
That said,
Ibsis
is getting low on patience at the moment.
I just want to have my tea!
You mean the tea that might trap you here in the Feywild forever? Yeah, let's not do that.
I'm
fine.
having tea with an old woman.
I will cast...
Fireball.
No. We don't need to go that level yet.
For clarification, this house is smaller than a fireball spell, so you would be catching all three of you if you did that.
Yeah, this is like, fine, I will leave. Go back to your tea, and I certainly hope it doesn't contain something that forces you to stay here forever. And once Wolfina is looking back to her tea, I am firing 2 shots with my crossbow into the feet, somewhere in the leg area. She's trying not to kill.
Okay.
We're almost out of here.
Make me 2 attack rolls.
Let's see.
Damn it. That wasn't muted. My apologies.
No worries.
Actually... Yeah, no, that's fine. Oops.
Oops.
All right, roll me a D100, Jeremy.
Yeah,
Oh,
I
no.
think I just
Oh,
shot Wolfina in
God.
the head.
Oh, no, 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 no.
Good lord. We were almost out of here, guys.
Nice.
That's a 69.
Whoop.
I kind of hope you
All
shot Rufina.
You shoot first the thatch of the house.
Okay. God!
That does unfortunately miss.
So clearly this is more than just a random villager if their armor class is better than 13. I'm just
I
gonna
mean-
point that out, y'all.
Yes, but at the same time, the armor class of a standard Eladrin is being used here, just from a meta perspective.
Okay.
Yeah, turns out Feywild villagers are good at things.
Two.
Hmm.
Damn it.
Yeah. So, Wolfina, Ipsis just fired wildly into the side of the house. I'm going to say that natural one actually hit the door.
Or what's left of the door.
Wolfina stands slowly and turns around and casts banishment.
That's
and
fine.
that is where we're going to leave it for
That's
the week.
fine.
Thanks, guys.
I'm going home, y'all.
Like,
And
peace.
goodbye.
Goodbye, everyone.
Goodbye.
Best session ever.
Bye.